One. Hello, welcome everyone. Today I have Alex Sodari, who is a comic artist, illustrator, painter, amazing creative person here with me today. I'm going to share my slides and then ask Alex to introduce themselves. Give me just a moment to pull it up. Can you see the slides?
Yeah.
Okay. So just tell us a little bit about yourself as an artist.
Oh yeah. So I went to school for art at the California College of the Arts. I grew up in Sonoma, up in the North Bay, and yeah, coming down here for art school is kind of what brought me to Oakland and the more immediate Bay Area. Um, I really got my start in like pen and ink and kind of like comic book illustration. That was definitely like a big part of like why I became an artist was kind of just like um, feeling a need to tell stories through images, especially like comics and illustration. Um, and then going to school, kind of building up my craft more, becoming more popular or more comfortable with different mediums like acrylic paints, which opened doors for me to do like mural work, and then also making my first zines and anthologies.
Can you talk a little bit about, I know you are one of the creators and you put together a laser zine, which is a zine anthology. Can you talk a little bit about laser zine?
oh yeah, totally. So that was like, I guess, pretty much like the first zine that I really put together, and it's an anthology of comics and illustration that's featured mostly Bay Area artists. Um, I started it while I was going to art school as a way to kind of like put my work out there as well as the work of like my peers and friends. And it was really inspired by other great anthologies such as like Zap Comics or Heavy Metal Magazine or even like Raw Magazine. Um, so it's kind of like my spin on like doing one of those featuring kind of up and coming creators.
Nice.
Uh,
So I noticed that you have kind of gotten more into individual cartoons that are like comic style. And you have what's up on the screen, Slinky Wizard. I saw you read a comic about Slinky Wizard. Can you talk a little bit about sort of the humorous direction you're going? Because I really like the comedy aspect of your writing and sort of your take on sort of social commentary.
yeah, totally. Yeah, so Slinky Wizard. The character himself, he's Slinky Lizard, so the wizard is kind of like a spin on that
Nice.
for that particular story. Um, but yeah, that one kind of like the character came out of like my work in school because I've always been like someone who's been into like reptiles, and that kind of like this character kind of like emerged as my sort of like cartoon persona.
Nice.
Um, and yeah, it's really this. It's just a way for me to kind of like poke fun at like the bad things in the world or things that have happened to me. Um, I joke that he's named Slinky because like the Slinky toy, you can push him down a staircase and it provides entertainment. So it's like a metaphor for how the stories are a lot of times where just like kind of terrible things are happening to him, but it's funny and everything is kind of okay.
Nice. So you talk a little bit about being into reptiles. Do you often use a lot of themes? And I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Do you often work in like lizards or like mountains and cactus? I know I see a lot of those kind of same motifs in your work, kind of a Southwest style.
Yeah,
Like especially in your murals and stuff like that. Can you talk a little about why you choose to do that or how that relates to you?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, my painting in particular takes a lot of inspiration from my Southwest roots. Um, my maternal heritage is from like southern Arizona. That's like my Mexican side of the family, and we have like some native heritage there as well. Um, that's something that's kind of like become more important for my artwork in the past several years. Just kind of like embracing that side of myself.
So
And
did you grow up? One of the questions is, where did you grow up? Did you grow up in Arizona or California? And where exactly did you,
oh
where
no,
you
I
born
grew
and
up.
where you,
Yeah, I grew up in California. Like I was born in San Francisco, but my folks moved out here um, from Arizona, from the Phoenix area. And when I was younger, I would often visit like my grandparents, and that was definitely a big part of kind of like I don't know of growing up is having those visits to Arizona um, with my grandparents. Um, so that's definitely something I still like carry with me, and I try to really celebrate it in my work. Uh,
nice.
that
Do you feel like you have something that sort of inspired you as a young person coming from those experiences, spending time with your grandparents? I often ask people if there's one big major like event or thing that happened to inspire them. Is that part of what you would characterize, or is there something else that you remember?
um, you know, like that was a big part of my life. I think until like my grandparents passed away while I was in high school, and I think I kind of like um necessarily forgot about that, but it felt like or became like less important. And I think like looking back as I've gotten older, I've realized the that importance of like my culture and coming from and like more traditional Mexican family kind of like environment that I used to have. Um, and yeah, recognizing like how special that was and how even though like my grandparents aren't around anymore, that's something I kind of want to honor, in their memory and kind of carry forward in my life
Yes.
or if I ever have children or something.
Do
Then,
you go ahead? I'm sorry.
oh, just also in my artwork, it's super important, especially someone, yeah, who has felt disconnected from their heritage in many ways, like being Latino in the U.S. There's strong pressure to kind of like assimilate, and
Hmm.
so that's something I try to resist in my artwork, and be really proud of who I am, and honor that.
We were talking about the protests before. Do you feel like art inherently needs to be political, or do you feel like art just in it of itself making art is political, or does it have to have a deeper meaning?
I wouldn't discount artwork that is just kind of there as like entertainment or to provide warmth or joy. You know, even if a work is like deeply meaningful or society, has like some message. I think being able to provide joy or warmth is contributes to that as well.
I was gonna say because joy, just the act of being joyous and happy and carefree, I think, and resting, I think that can be. I believe that is political. I don't think it necessarily art has to have any type of message to be political. I think just the act of taking that time for yourself, and even just to share with audiences is political. So that's kind of what I mean by political, because
Yeah,
we are often so pushed to be quote unquote productive or have a certain outcome and go for grind and money. And I think just doing the opposite or resisting that, I think feels like it is political.
yeah, totally. I feel like that's kind of why my sketchbook work has become more important. Um, I think ever since like COVID, I felt like a whole like little moleskin sketchbook with illustrations, and that was like a project I didn't share with anybody at all, and that was just work I was doing for myself to kind of like work through things that were happening, themes in my work, you know.
Yeah.
And like eventually I did put it at, into like a zine project that I was able to share. Um, but there wasn't like the kind of like I'm going to make money or sell this from the. It
Yeah.
was creating imagery for myself, and I felt like that just reflected so much in the work, and so I really kind of cherish my sketchbook work in that way. It's really about, you know, like there's no original to sell, so it's from for myself, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm working through.
No, same. I mean, I think a lot of, and it's interestingly enough, at the beginning of lockdown, I was hospitalized for like, I think I did make a zine about being quarantined for like 6 days, but I think a lot of the other work that I made when I came out of the hospital was just simply about coping and processing what was going on. And some of it did end up being part of things that I sold, but yeah, initially it was just for me to kind of manage my emotions and figure out what was going on within me. And I think that's so important for artists to not share stuff like that necessarily, especially when it comes to being compensated. Like that is not necessarily, I don't think it should necessarily be the catalyst for why we make stuff, you know? But
Yeah,
that
no, like I feel like yeah, capitalism and even social media is just like really toxic for artists in that way, and it really disrupts like your artistic process when you're thinking like even a little bit, you know, like how am I going to sell this at the end of whenever I make it.
yeah,
It like even subconsciously, you know, forces you or you know makes you make these like decisions that kind of compromise your artwork and your message in some way.
100%. Yeah. Even just, I was thinking about the other day, some folks asked me to do a sketchbook tour and go through my sketchbooks on YouTube. And I was like, just the fact that so many people are so concerned about the final outcome and what it looks like. And you do debate in your head, oh, should I show this unfinished stuff? Or like I do a lot of just random notes and doodles and just stuff that has just, it means something to me, but it's not like a finished rendered piece of art. And I'm like, well, I'm just gonna show this. This is really my working sketchbook. Like I don't know what you expect me to show you, but like 99% of the thoughts that I have are just some random notes that don't mean anything to you. They might turn into finished work later, but like there's so many just sketches that are just doodles that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
Uh,
it makes me think of like the difference between like artists and I guess what we're called nowadays like content creators.
hmm,
Like like I see that so much with the younger generations, especially. It's like you're just providing content. It's not necessarily like artwork,
yeah,
and it's almost like completely different. Like in the content can be about the artwork, but it's not really artwork.
exactly.
It's this whole different kind of way of going about it. Like when you're on social media or anything, it's like I have the pressure. I have to provide content versus me being an artist. You know, it's like
It's
this whole thing that kind of like I mean, to me, it kind of distracts a lot
It
from
has nothing to do with the creative process whatsoever.
yeah,
Like a lot of the stuff that I come up with, like either in the middle of the night or in the shower, and you just randomly write something in your sketchbook to fully flesh out later, is a lot of the battle. So you might just sit there and look at a blank piece of paper, a blank canvas, and that is part of the process. But you can't. That doesn't translate to content.
yeah. I mean, I like you know I enjoy content creators. I definitely watch YouTube and
No, I do too, but I would not call myself one, and I don't think that Honestly, I'm not sure that there are very many content creators that are solely content creators that I would say are my top even 50 artists. Like
Mhm.
it's a different lane.
It is, right? It's a totally different lane.
Yeah, yeah. That being said, talk a little bit about lockdown. Is there something that you feel like either you personally developed or started a practice doing during lockdown, or maybe something society implemented during lockdown that you think we should continue to do?
Well, yeah, I spoke about my sketchbook practice earlier, um, and that was definitely probably the main thing that came out of lockdown for me personally. Um, but I don't know. There's I think still like consequences of it that can be felt. Like I don't know that my like communities or like social habits have really like gone back to normal in the same way before. I still think there's kind of some of that almost isolation effect that hasn't like truly returned. Uh,
Right.
I think still kind of living in the shadow of that a bit. Um,
Because I feel like we should still all be masking. I feel like, and
yeah,
also doing a lot more things online, I think are great. Things that we developed during lockdown that we definitely should move forward and do.
I tabled at the Santa Rosa Zine Fest earlier this year, and that was an in-person one. But I was also looking back through their website, and they had all these panels just like on their YouTube from the earlier days where they weren't doing the in-person event, and actually really appreciated that aspect of it. Not only is it like so, it was a way for people to participate, virtually, but then also it still exists online.
Oh
And
yeah, that's something important too, right? Because it's all documented, so you can go back and take a look.